Hi, nice to see you.
Good
Hi.
to see you. Hello,
Hi.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So sit down here, please.
Okay.
And you've brought something. Is it for
I
us?
did. It's my gift to you.
I always wanted one.
It's an echo, a baby echo. No, I was asked to bring it because, well, I'm pretty excited about this because I was awarded this yesterday. So this is a pretty big deal for me, and yeah, so I'm keeping it close.
Great. Where are you going to put it at home?
Well, I actually got one last year too, so I have that one displayed, right next to my laptop where I do all my editing and my writing, and so this can go next to its sister.
Wow.
To inspire me.
How do you have the idea of doing these incredibly cool cosplay and violin and gaming related videos? How did that work out for you? And how do people react to that?
Think of it.
How do people react to it?
I was very surprised with the reaction because I mean, maybe I grew up in a bubble, but I did not know there was a huge gaming community online.
Oh, okay.
So I remember, I thought I loved dress up. I loved cosplay so much. I loved the violin. And I was working a lot with a YouTuber named Devin Graham. I don't know if you've heard of Devin Supertramp.
Yeah.
So I was working a lot with him, and he had this idea of like, Lindsey, you like cosplay, you like the violin. He's like, let's do a video together where you dress up as, Link, and we'll make this epic music video. And I was like, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna make fun of me. Everyone's gonna make fun of me, Devin. But he convinced me that no, they're not gonna make fun of you, and so I was like, okay, I'll do it. So because the music is so beautiful, and when I got to put it on the little ears and everything, it was super fun. But yeah, as soon as it went up, it was my first like viral video. It just skyrocketed and kind of catapulted my entire career. That video did. I owe a lot to that video and to Devin Graham, and I was absolutely shocked, and I just kind of discovered this community of people that all kind of gravitate and get together over gaming, and I was like, this is amazing.
Cool.
Well, I think the coolest thing about that is that you kind of connected communities who never met before, because many people don't know what great music is part, or that great music is part of games.
Very true.
Games do have.
Is there any new ideas for the next album that you're excited to share?
Next album, I actually haven't started writing it yet. I've kind of planned out the fall as my writing time. And to be honest, I have a couple ideas of different directions it could take, but it's always very scattered until I kind of make myself go in the studio, sit down and write, and then the album kind of takes on a life of its own. Like I didn't come up with the concept for, my Shatter Me album until I was in the studio writing, and suddenly I had this idea of this ballerina, and the music started to take on its own life. So it just kind of, I'm kind of curious to see where it goes. I think just as much as anybody, probably more than anybody else is curious.
It probably needs to stay fun for you too.
Yeah.
Stay exciting.
And you always want to keep it sounding authentic to you and what I like, but at the same time, you got to stretch yourself and try new things and like implement new styles. And I think I did that on my last album, but I'm kind of curious to see how I do that in this as well.
So Zelford is asking, what was the best question you've been asked?
Best question
It's a tough one.
ever been asked.
Ever.
So,
Best question I've ever been asked.
take your time.
That's a hard one. Trying to, I always think one of the best questions anyone can ask is at meet and greets. We always do questions, and I like it when they ask my band mates questions about me, because I answer questions all day, not all day, but I answer a lot of questions, and so it's really funny to hear sometimes what other people think about me. Because, when people are like, oh, what's your pet peeve, this or that, and I say, but my band will be like, we know her, So I always actually enjoy it when my band gets asked questions about me.
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
Okay, so that was for Zelford. Can we get another question? Give us one.
Yeah, from Ich bin Jamie. Have you ever considered acting in a movie? That would be very cool.
That would be very cool. And I have actually considered it a little bit.
Have you been asked?
I have been asked to play roles in like indie films, never like big blockbuster, movies, but I've been asked for a couple indie films, and I think it'd be really fun to do at one point. I feel like I really mastered the look of being lost in a mystical land, and so, but in one of the last music video, I actually filmed it the day before I came to Germany, filmed it on
Which
Monday.
one was the last one?
It hasn't come out yet.
Oh.
I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about it yet.
What?
Am I allowed to say what it is, Adina? Oh, mom's the word. Okay. Mom says, manager says no. But there was a little acting vignette at the beginning of it, and I had so much fun doing that I was like, okay, I would love to try it.
Okay, cool.
Well, but
Can we
for
get another
example,
one?
when we take a look at what's the new video called? Take Flight.
Take Flight.
Take Flight. That was acting. That was definitely.
It was. Yes. And I remember I was kind of nervous because
Yeah.
I was like, I really haven't done much acting, and so I thought, am I gonna be able to make this believable? And I think it came across.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad that did for you.
The next one is from Josh Moffat, 31. I want to ask if you'll sing a little more on your next album. You have a beautiful voice.
Oh.
Aw.
Well, thank you, Josh Moffat. I appreciate that. But yes, I actually just wrote a song, and I decided I would sing on this song. It hasn't been released yet, but I think I like it enough to release it, and it's me singing, and I've never released a song with me singing, but I like to try new things, so why not?
I think your fans will appreciate it.
I think so, At least my diehards will, like Josh. Josh will like it. For you, Josh.
Definitely. Next one. For you.
Martin Ohms, you have established yourself as an established artist. What sort of goals are you striving for the future?
Ooh. So yeah, it's little up there. Well, we talked about several of them. Singing on the next album. Acting is definitely in there. I'm working on a book that will be published in spring.
I read that on Twitter. You were writing on an airplane.
Yes.
I saw a photograph.
Yeah, my sister and I are working together. She's helping me write my a memoirs type biography. So
You're quite young for that, but
I know, right? Everyone's like, you haven't lived enough to write a biography, but I'm like, no, it's full of fun stories, and I'm really excited about that. And someday I would like to compose actually for a video game or a movie. And so those are some of the bucket list items I have right now. And of course, keep performing and keep writing.
Well, I personally, for example, I don't think that you have to be old to write a book like that. I just think it's about what you've been through. Mm-hmm. I think the more you've been through, the more interesting such a book would be. Mm-hmm. Because you get.
What role does Lizzie Hale symbolize in your Shatter Me video?
That's a very good, interesting question. I've never been asked that before. Lizzie and I are both supposed to represent individuals who are trapped, and we're both kind of trapped in our own different worlds. I'm obviously the ballerina stuck inside this music box, where Lizzie is she's supposed to be underneath the music box, almost in the inner workings. And as you notice, she cranks the wheel,
machinery,
and then the music box comes to life. And so it's almost she's living in that little space underneath. And every day she cranks that music box and she brings it to life. And she's stuck in there as well. And you see, she starts, she's craving for a friend or for life or for connection. And so she builds this little doll. And that's it's almost like that's her little friend. And, it's really hard to convey these stories when, in these short videos. But each of us had to sacrifice something in order to be free, where my character, she breaks this beautiful porcelain shell and basically sacrifices her, her shell and her perfection in order to be free. And Lizzie takes this little, her creation, and she ends up shoving that in the gears, and that's what allows her to be free. And so we each had to sacrifice something, and I think in order to discover who you really are, a lot of times you do have to sacrifice a little bit of something in order to really break down those walls.
What song was the hardest and which one was the easiest to do on your Shatter Me album?
Okay, the hardest one was probably, was definitely Shatter Me. just because I'd never really written lyrics before. And not only was I writing lyrics, but I was writing lyrics that were very personal and about a very, very personal part of my life. And I was trying so hard to convey this emotion and this feeling, and also at the same time trying to be empowering. So that song, it took a lot to write it. And I actually I wrote the first version of the song and ended up just throwing it in the trash and starting over again because it wasn't right, you know, and so there's a whole nother version of the song that no one will ever hear. The easiest one, I would say, I think Pirates came really fast. Just went in the studio, I was like, we started it, and within 5 minutes of working on it, I was like, this song is about pirates, okay? This song's about pirates, and it just like happened.
When it flows, it flows.
When it does, yep.
Then we have Rainbow Girl 1212. Who are your personal and musical inspirations?
Yeah, I like that kind of thing.
I had that as well.
Yeah.
As a question.
Some of my musical inspirations, one of them actually is from right here in Germany, David Garrett. As a violinist growing up, I looked and I started to see these other violinists that, there was a few, David Garrett, a group called Bond, Vanessa May, and they all kind of took the violin and they made it their own, and I was just really, it made me think, oh, the violin doesn't have to just be what it's been for thousands of years. Like, I can make it my own thing. I can figure out a direction I want to take it. So David Garrett was huge for me. And then I love Skrillex. He got me into dubstep. I love Zed. Evanescence was my favorite band growing up. So those are just some of my favorites. And personally, my parents are the biggest inspiration to me. They always wanted us to express ourselves creatively. And through the way they lived their lives and the stories my dad would tell me about his own life when I was a kid, I just knew that I wasn't, I wanted to have a life of adventure. And I wasn't going to shy away from things because I was afraid, because my parents never did. And so without their examples, I know I wouldn't be here today,
So one, of all your violins, which one is your number one favorite? How many do you have?
I think I have like 11 or 12 violins, something like that. Some of them are more for music videos or have been props, like Round Table Rival. I had this one, like this trumpet coming off of it. It was like a steampunk one. I have stunt violins that can get wet and, all these different ones. But I have...
there are stunt violins.
I have stunt
okay,
violins.
That's cool.
Yeah, because I'm like, I can't take my violins, in fountains and splash around. So, yes, I have stunt violins.
So cool.
But my favorite one is, because I named them, my favorite one is Excalibur, and it's my wooden violin that I use for most of my recordings, and it's about 100 years old, and it was the first violin I bought when I was like, I want to be a professional. I'm going to do this, and my parents, helped me buy this violin, and I called it Excalibur, like the sword, because it was like my weapon against the world. I was like, me and Excalibur are going to take on the world. And
perfectly fits to the story you just told.
I'm so curious, what are the other names?
Oh, okay. So one of my stunt violins, my first stunt violin actually, was called Ingrid. And Nero is a carbon fiber violin. Wally is a glow-in-the-dark electric. Cleopatra is a bedazzled electric violin. And those are all the ones I could think of right now.
It's okay. We have another question that's related to those.
From Ro Anthony. What is your most embarrassing violin-related memory?
Something's coming to mind. I have a lot. Gosh. What's my most embarrassing one, though? I'm trying to think. I've only fallen once on stage. And it was a really bad fall. I was playing Crystallize, which is like the song that like a lot of people come to the show to hear. And so it's very delicate at one part of it, and I did this little twirl, and then my foot got caught, and I just fully like fell back. There's videos online of it. It's actually really funny, but I mean, it was the last show of a like 45 city tour.
Wow.
And it was the last show, and I just biffed it and fell so hard on my butt. I thought I broke my tailbone, but I kind of I got up and was just like, oh, so not graceful, but it was, it's pretty funny.
Did you do this song again? Did you start?
No, I just got up and kept playing, and I probably missed about probably 8 counts, so it wasn't too bad, but my band, they were all just like oh my gosh, and once I got up, they just started laughing.
Again, what is your favorite candy?
Favorite candy? I like chocolate. I like pure, just good chocolate, especially Europe has the best chocolate. And I don't know what it is about it, but it's way better than the chocolate in the United States. So whenever I come to Europe, I like bring back lots of chocolate. I think the Lindt truffles, the little balls of Lindt.
What is
Oh, there he is.
What is the happiest thing you ever experienced in your life? Hashtag Ask Lindsey.
In my life.
Hashtag.
Honestly, I don't think anything makes me happier than being with my family. That's like my favorite thing ever. And this last tour, I was, it was kind of a long tour. I'd been away from home for a long time, and we were touring through Asia for about a month and a half. And I got really homesick towards the end of the tour, and then I started to get sick, and I came back to my hotel room when we were in Tokyo, and I heard a violin playing in my room, and I got really freaked out, and I was like, what is happening? Like, someone's broken into my room, they're playing my violin. And so I went in the room, and I was really scared. And then my sister was in my room, and she turned around, and she was playing my violin, and she doesn't play the violin, so it was like, but it was probably like one of the happiest moments of my life, just to see her, and just, it felt like any sickness I felt or any tiredness, it all went away, and so a family is probably what makes me like the happiest.
Lindsey, if you could create a new cereal flavor, what would it be and why? Good question.
That is
I love
a great
it.
question. Well, I do love chocolate, but I also I'm kind of weird. I like the healthy, like really like wheat, like bran flakes and wheat Chex. So I don't think I've ever seen a combined version of like weedy, hearty, healthy cereals with like chocolate stuff in it. That's what I would do.
Asking, what are you thinking about during your performance?
That's a really good question too. What am I thinking about? Sometimes I go into this space where it's almost like a performer's high, when you're so into the moment that you just almost like lose consciousness a little bit, and you just like, it's like a whole song will go by, and it's almost, or sometimes even like a show will fly by so fast because I'm just in this like high experience where I'm almost just like envisioning what's happening. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's amazing because it's just so effortless at that point, and you're just living in the moment so much that it's like you're living it. You're not trying, you're not thinking, you're living it.
You are it.
You are the moment, and that's when a performance is like magical. And then there's other times when I get drawn out of that, it's kind of this up and down. I go into that moment a little bit, and then other times it's so fun to like focus on some of the faces that you can see, because you can see the first couple rows really well. And you see these faces of people that are smiling and they're excited, and like bros giving each other high fives when their favorite song plays, or like girls that are just, I mean, that's what gives you this like, wow.
Have you ever had an idea of you composing a song with your own vocals, like full lyrics? We had that.
Yes, I actually just wrote a song, and so we'll see if I end up releasing it to the public. But I think I'm going to test it out maybe on tour. Who knows? Maybe I'll try it on tour and see if people respond well to it through performing.
You won't be dancing that much.
I will not. Yeah, probably if I'm singing, I'll be. Probably not.
You could be what?
Any heroine?
Okay, if you could be any heroine, what would you be? Greetings from Argentina.
Hello, Argentina.
Hi, Argentina. I'm coming to see you soon. Yes, we're going there soon, in a couple weeks, actually. If I could be any superhero, I would be one that could travel through time and go back in time and fix things. Wouldn't that be awesome if you could?
So dangerous.
I know.
It would change.
You'd have to be very careful. But also you could go forward in time and learn things. I know.
Oh, that's cool.
What's the first thing you think about after waking up?
I've started a new thing in my life. I've started to meditate. Nice. And so I wake up, and the first thing I try to do every morning is I get out of bed and I sit up and I meditate. And so, yeah.
Isn't that all about not thinking anything at all?
That's what a lot of people think. There's different styles of meditation, and I tried that style, and I was really bad at it.
Yes.
It's impossible to turn off your brain and think about, like, your brain is created to, like, thoughts and think. So the style of meditation I do is called Ziva meditation, and it's about just kind of like letting your mind float and letting it be free and not diving into any of the thoughts, but letting the thoughts almost race.